Moodle offers you the ability to run a back-channel chat with your class, which is another type of Moodle activity. It will set the chat room up for you in a new tab, and all users will have access using their Moodle usernames. You will know which students are which unless you have two students with the same name, as Moodle uses their first names as the chat username. What's nice about a Moodle chat is you can choose to keep a transcript of the chat for later reference, and you also don't need to set up the chat through an additional website where students can choose their usernames or have to create an account. However, there will be an additional tab in the LibGuide that will address alternative sources to run a back-channel chat, appropriately named because a collaborative learning opportunity is offered to students in the so-called back channel, while a presentation, lecture, or some teacher-led activity is happening in the foreground of the classroom. As always, be sure that the course editing is turned on and scroll to the bottom of the topic where you would like to insert a chat. Once in the bottom of the topic, using the Add an Activity menu, choose Chat. You are now in the chat settings. Name your chat and provide an introduction to it. This introduction text will appear as soon as students click on the chat link. I would recommend explaining the objective and expectations of the chat here. Students will then click on a link from the introduction to open the chat room. Scroll down. Next chat time is when the chat will take place. You can also choose if you would like to repeat the chat. I usually just leave these settings as the default, and then manage if students can see the chat or not through the editing tools when editing is turned on the main Moodle page. I would recommend hiding the chat when not using it, so students cannot get in and use it like a regular chat room. If this is the case, you will, however, be able to see a transcript of what they have said. I choose to never delete any past sessions. Once I know that I won't need them for reference, I go in and delete the transcripts. But it is nice to have them stored anyway in case you need them. I also leave the default of No selected for everyone can view past sessions, unless there is a need for students to be able to reference the chat. Here, I will sometimes choose to set groups to separate groups. I will have set these groups up already at the course level. Reference the Creating Groups video for instruction about how to set up groups. If separate groups is chosen, students will only be able to chat with the students in their group without being able to see the chat of any other group. However, as the teacher, you will be able to see the discussion of all the groups. Once all settings are chosen, choose Save and Return to Course. Locate the chat and the bottom of the topic where you have inserted. And the editing here is turned off, but if it was turned on, you could use the arrows to change the location of the chat. Click on the chat link to enter it. Here in the center of the screen is the introduction text. As the user, I can tell that no groups has been selected because there is no list in the upper left of the screen. However, if you have the teacher ever want to change this, you can click on the Update this chat button in the upper right of the screen. This option is present in most activities. Click on the link, click here to enter this chat now, and a separate window for the chat will appear. The list of participants who have entered the chat will appear in the list to the right. I am the only one in this chat. At the bottom is the Enter Text field. Type and hit Enter, and your text will appear. Simply close the chat to leave it. To view past chat sessions, click on the View Past Chat Sessions link in the upper right of the screen you first visit once clicking on the chat from the main page. At the top of each chat session, which will appear in a long line, you will see the date and how long it lasted for. To the left of the screen in a list, you will see which users recorded how many entries. I am not showing you this list now. Scroll to the bottom of each chat, and you will see two links. See this session or delete this session. When you're sure you're ready to delete a chat transcript, choose the Delete this session link. click on the See This session for the full transcript of the chat. This is a chat that a class of 9th graders had while reading a portion of Romeo and Juliet in class using the No Fear Shakespeare website. Both the chat and the play were on students' screens simultaneously. While some students were reading parts they had volunteered for, others were typing their personal responses to the play or asking questions. Some days I would direct what students would chat out, asking them to chat from the perspective of a parent, or only chat using hashtags, while other days I let students direct the chat content. I projected the chat on the front board for both accountability and so that I was able to participate in the chat as well. Questions could be answered and additional ones posed by me while the reading is happening. The caliber of the content of the chat was excellent. The 9th graders really rose to the occasion. A chat has many more applications than just reading Romeo and Juliet. It is a powerful tool when students uphold the expectations.